I have 9:30.
Good morning, everyone. It is now 9:30. We'll go ahead and call the regular board meeting for Western Municipal Water District to order this morning. At this time, Madam Secretary, could we go ahead and please read in our COVID protocols?
Yes, thank you. Good morning. Pursuant to Western Municipal Water District Resolution 3214, in an effort to protect the public health, prevent the spread of COVID-19, and because state and local officials are recommending measures to promote social distancing, the public may view this board meeting online or virtually via Zoom. Today's meeting is being live streamed at WMWD.com. As stated on the agenda, members of the public who wish to comment on any item within the jurisdiction of the district or any item on the agenda may make comments in person, virtually via Zoom, or by submitting comments on the district's website. Comments received on the district's website before 4:30 p.m. April 5th, 2022 will be made part of the board meeting record. For those participating in the Zoom virtual meeting who wish to provide public comments, please indicate such by using the raise hand feature and we will call on you individually. You can access the raise hand feature by opening the participant list and clicking the raised hand button at the bottom of the list. For those participating by telephone who wish to provide public comment, you may do so by pressing *6 to unmute yourself. Phone callers can also press *9 to activate the raise hand feature. If there is more than one caller, you will be identified and called on one at a time. Any public comment will be limited to 3 minutes in duration. However, the presiding officer reserves the right to reduce the amount of time you will be allowed to speak to ensure that all members of the public have an opportunity to provide their comment. I will now take roll call for the meeting. Due to the complexity of conducting this meeting by Zoom and telephonically, I will not be taking roll call for staff members or the public at this time. Director Roten.
Here.
Director Rizvi.
Good morning, I'm here.
Good morning. Director Gardner.
Present.
Director Torres.
Here.
President Dinstedt.
Good morning, I am present.
Good morning. Thank you. President Dinstedt, you do have a quorum today.
Thank you very much. At this time, we'll go ahead and move forward with the Pledge of Allegiance. We have Daisy here this morning. Buenos dias.
Buenos dias. Good morning, everyone. Daisy Banuelo, Senior Financial Analyst with the Finance Department. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. We certainly appreciate it. And Daisy, how long have you worked for the district now? Close to 10 years. I remember the day you first started. Thank you very much for leading us in the pledge this morning. It is such a wonderful thing when we can all chime in and we don't have all of the feedback on Zoom. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on to public comments this morning. If there is anyone wishing to make any public comment this morning on any item which is not currently posted on our agenda, now would be the time to do that, and it has to be under the jurisdiction of this agency, please, for the public comment. Madam Secretary, is there anyone in our audience or on the Zoom today who wishes to make comments under public comment?
President Dinstedt, I see no requests on Zoom. I've had no requests in the audience, and we've received no public written comments.
Thank you very much. We'll go ahead and move on from the public comment session and move on to the consent calendars portion. Is there any board member wishing to pull any item from the consent calendar? Any member of the public wishing to comment or pull any item off of our consent calendar today? Looking for a motion.
Madam President, I would move approval of the consent calendar.
I have a motion from Director Gardner and a second from Director Rizvi on the consent calendar item. Madam Secretary.
Thank you. Director Roten.
Yes.
Director Rizvi.
Yes.
Director Gardner.
Aye.
Director Torres.
Yes.
President Dinstedt.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries 5-0.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to items to be added to the agenda. Good morning, Mr. Miller. Anything to add to our agenda today?
Good morning. Nothing to add today.
Thank you very much. Legal counsel, good morning to you, sir. Anything to add to our agenda today?
Good morning, Madam President. No.
Thank you very much. We will move on to our action agenda today and moving on to 7A. Mr. Lamont, good morning.
All right, 7A is in agreement with the city of Corona to transfer capacity at RCRA. So Rod will be presenting that, and I see Katie Hockett from the city of Corona is on Zoom. So if you have any questions of the city, I think she can answer those. But Rod?
Right. So board members, as Craig explained, this is a transfer agreement to transfer capacity that Western owns in RCRA to another RCRA member, that's the city of Corona. And now this item has been before both committees, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time rehashing what has been explained at the committee. But we do have a brief presentation that I think capsulizes the salient features. So next slide, please. So this is a diagram of the conveyance system. Like, what is the conveyance system? That's the conveyance system. And there's a lot of different colored lines there. I recall at the Finance Committee, there was a question about, what are all these flume meters? Mm-hmm. Well, a flume meter is a type of meter that most of the agencies use to measure their wastewater flows. But the conveyance system is essentially the traffic system to bring sewage flows to the treatment plant. So that's the conveyance system. Next slide. Essentially, what we've got here is that Corona bought 2.62 million gallons of treatment capacity in RCRA during the expansion project. So RCRA had undergone an expansion, a significant expansion, to build the plant out, to rehabilitate it. That expansion was finished in January of 2018, and with that expansion, Corona became a member inside RCRA. So what Corona had was they had treatment capacity, because they bought into the treatment expansion of the plant, but they didn't have capacity in what I call the freeway system to move the sewer flows to the plant. So what they're wanting to do now is to acquire that, and lo and behold, Western is sitting with excess capacity. Next slide, please. So this is just a brief summary of the conveyance capacity sits on the left for RCRA, and this is RCRA, and the treatment capacity sits on the right. And if you look at pre-transfer MGD on the conveyance capacity slide, you see 8 MGD, and it's 8 MGD afterwards. And you can see that Western, right now, before the transfer, has 4.75 million gallons a day of treatment capacity. It'll give up 2.62 to Corona, so Corona can meet its needs. Then we'll still have 2.13 million gallons a day of capacity, and if you move a little bit to the right, you'll see that's even more than our treatment capacity. So we're in pretty good shape, and I can tell you in terms of treatment, we're not even quite 1/2 of that treatment capacity yet in terms of our flows into the plant. So this, again, is just a diagram. Now you might think, well, wait a second, why is the conveyance only 8 and the treatment 14? And that's because JCSD is able to put their flows directly into the plant. They have their own lift station, so they don't need the RCRA conveyance system. And that's why there's this seeming imbalance between 8 and 14. Next slide. Oh, it's the questions time. And again, as Craig had mentioned, we do have Katie Hockett, who is the Deputy Director for the City of Corona Utilities, on the line.
Great, thank you very much. Was there anything that you wanted to say, Katie, from the city?
No, just thank you for the opportunity for us to get this capacity. I think this is a great interagency transfer, and we're looking forward to getting this approved by our city council in the next few weeks, so that we can start sending additional flows to the RCRA treatment plant, as our water reclamation facility number 3 down there in Dos Lagos is slated for destruction at some point in the next few years once we have capacity that we can send to RCRA. So we are appreciative of this, and I'm happy to answer any questions if you have anything specifically.
Great, thank you so much for being here today. We certainly appreciate your attendance. Director Rizvi, as the representative for that area and for the RCRA plant, is there anything you would like to comment on?
I would suggest to move forward as it came to RCRA, and everyone approved that at RCRA.
Okay. Comments from anyone else?
Madam Chair, if that was a motion, I will second it.
Yes.
I believe it was.
I just wanted to make sure that there is no other comment from
Yes,
the public. so-
no.
Comment.
Okay.
Yes.
We did receive
We
a.
did receive it,
Yeah, a
yes.
written public comment, which I think is significant because
Yes.
it came from a former director of this board, and he also is supportive of the idea.
Yes.
Okay,
So I'd like to thank Al Lopez for wading in on this.
thank you very much. And Madam Secretary, is there anyone who wishes to speak under public comment on this item today?
There is not. I just wanted to reiterate that we did receive that public comment yesterday before the 4:30 PM deadline, and it was provided to the Board of Directors last night.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Any other comments? Okay. Madam Secretary, I do believe I had a motion from Director Rizvi and a second from Director Gardner on this issue for approval of this item. Are we ready to call for the vote? Great.
Director Roten,
Yes.
Director Rizvi.
Yes.
Director Gardner,
Aye.
Director Torres,
Aye.
President Dinstead.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries 5-0.
Thank you very much, and we look forward to our continued partnership with the City of Corona and appreciate their attendance here today on this item. And we look forward to their council weighing in.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on, 7B today.
All right, 7B is considering the approval of a contract extension with Chandler Asset Management for 2 years. Ana Briones is going to give the presentation to the board this morning.
Thank you, Craig. Good morning, members of the board. As Craig mentioned, this is to consider a contract extension for investment management services with Chandler Asset Management for 2 additional years. To give a brief background, last fiscal year, staff sought out proposals for investment management services. However, only 2 firms submitted a proposal, including one from current investment manager, Chandler Asset Management. So as there was not a sufficient number of firms who proposed last year, the board has directed staff to extend the contract with Chandler Asset Management. However, this fiscal year, considering the current active search for a new audit services provider requiring substantial staff effort, and based on the continued excellent service provided by Chandler Asset Management, staff believes that extended the investment services contract with Chandler Asset Management is the most appropriate action at this time. So with that, the recommendation is the Finance Committee and staff recommend that the Board of Directors approve a contract extension with Chandler Asset Management. Chandler did also will be honoring an updated pricing structure that will result in $7,000 a year of savings compared to the current pricing structure. Mr. Bill Dennehy, Co-Chief Investment Officer, is also online today for any question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Madam Secretary, is there anyone wishing to comment on this item?
I see no request to speak.
Okay, Mr. Dennehy, any comments?
We just really enjoy working with Western Municipal Water District, and we look forward to continuing to dialogue with your staff and your board, and we hope to continue to provide the excellent service that we provided thus far. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you very much, sir. Comments from any members of the board?
I just want to thank Chandler for their great service and make a motion to approve.
Okay,
I'll second the motion.
all right, any other comments?
I would just add that I think it is important that we do this for a variety of reasons. Probably the most important is the impact it would have on our staff if they were trying to handle setting up 2 different sets, asset manager and auditor. At the same time, this allows them to do them one at a time and will be much easier on them. And as Director Torres said, Chandler's done an excellent job for us, and I'm happy to continue working with him.
Absolutely. Any comments from the finance team in addition to what's already been said?
We would echo what the board members have said, is that the Chandler has done a great job with us. They work a whole lot with Anna, and so Anna might want to chime in on this, but they're very professional, and we have not found ourselves wanting from having them. So this is my strong endorsement, that hoping that you approve this. So.
Yes, no, and I will go ahead and echo with all of my colleagues that have said they've done an excellent job of managing our portfolio and guarding and protecting our customers' money, which is ultimately what the goal is. So with that, is there any other comments? Okay, I had a motion from Director Torres, and I had a second from Director Gardner to approve this item. Madam Secretary, ready for the vote?
I am.
Great.
Thank you. Director Risby.
Yes.
Director Roten.
Yes.
Director Gardner.
Aye.
Director Torres.
Aye.
President Denstedt.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries 5-0.
Thank you very much. All right, moving on to reports portion of our agenda. Report for General Counsel.
Yes, Madam President, members of the board. As the board is aware, staff and legal counsel have been meeting with the folks with IE Works over the last couple of months. We've had 2 meetings with them over the last 2 months to go over some bylaws. We've submitted probably 30 or 40 comments on the bylaws. Unfortunately, the meetings were not terribly productive. We didn't get through many of our comments. I still have some concerns from a legal perspective on the bylaws. And so at this point, I wouldn't be recommending that the board move forward with the bylaws, at least as they exist right now. And so staff and my office are prepared to basically not invest any more resources and time and energy until those bylaws have our comments addressed. Of course, Western would still be able to participate in using any interns that IE Works comes up with if and when they get up and running. And so we'd kind of be able to operate on a subscription service using those interns. And I believe other water districts are planning to take that approach as well. So I just wanted to update the board on that and let you know kind of where we're at with that. And that's the status at this point. Other than that, I have nothing further.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, moving on to General Manager comments, staff reports. Mr.
All right.
Miller.
Thank you very much. I've got several. And let me start off with Mr. Mascaro. He's going to update us. I get a weekly update on our arrearages. Kevin and his team, Spencer, does a great job of keeping me in the loop, so I want to keep the board in the loop. Kevin?
Great. Thank you, Craig. Good morning, everyone. So I have 3 brief pieces of information to share with you. Okay, first, our retail customer accounts that have a past due balance of 60 days or more totals $118,000. This is 85% less than the peak amount of about $800,000 just a few months ago in early December. So to date, we have 130 customers with an agreed upon payment arrangement, and almost all of them have received a credit from Western's Bill Payment Assistance Program. Second, regarding shutoffs, you may recall that a month ago we reported that our first month of shutoffs had an average of 39 shutoffs per week, identical to the weekly average pre-COVID. Well, now we've completed the second month of shutoffs, and the average is lower, 12 shutoffs on average per week, which is, I think, a historic low. Third, regarding the state's arrearage payment program, the state informed us that our application for sewer account credits should be approved by the end of this week. So 2 months ago, we submitted our application and applied for $45,000 in sewer arrearages on behalf of our customers. So upon approval, we'll credit eligible customer accounts accordingly. So I think all 3 pieces of positive news.
Wonderful news.
Available for any questions.
Questions? I have a question. So at this point, with all of the available assistance, including our own customer assistance program that we have available to help with that, whether it's COVID or not, in a payment assistance, how are the funds in that account? Are we on track to still have funds by the end? Will they be depleted by the end of fiscal? What are we on track for? Is there any indication whatsoever?
I think, if I'm correct in your question, you're asking about $100,000 that Western's Bill Payment Assistance Program set aside for this fiscal year. We're $30,000 through it,
Okay,
so plenty left. And as I mentioned, everyone that's in a payment arrangement, virtually everyone, anyone who is eligible, almost all, received that $150 credit. So,
okay,
but, you know, each week there's another bill that comes out and other accounts that may be eligible for it, and that is offered to everyone that is past due on their bill.
okay, perfect. No, just wanted to know where we sat with that account and if it had the necessary funds or, if it was going to go into towards the negative number or zero balance at some point. So, but thank you very much. Appreciate that.
If I could add also, Kevin's team and Sarah's team have done a really remarkable job dealing with a few customers that are still struggling. And we've done everything we can, including pointing out all the different funding options to help them along their way. And so we continue to be very patient with our community that's struggling with making their payments. We did have a question that we're not following SB 998 and the process that by law we have to follow for collections, and I'll assure the board that a huge amount of effort goes into that, and Kevin has been involved since 998 was approved and working with other our family of water agencies to make sure that we all fully understand it and are compliant. We're 100% compliant with it. So in case anyone reaches out to the board members to let them know that we're not following the law, I want to assure you, we're very careful and we're following the law. And we do extra outreach to those customers to make sure that we provide all the options that we can provide to them. So you may hear, I know one director's heard a little bit about it, but I just want to make sure that we're really clear that we are very carefully following all the rules that we have to follow. All right. Next update. I was at CMUA conference the last 2 days. That went really well. CMUA really deserves a lot of the credit for the $1 billion that we had for arrearage funding. They're the agency that really took that on. I'm on their board of governors and on their executive committee, and I remember back in the early days when their executive officer, Barry Moline, and we were having discussions, and he said, we're taking this on, how much money should we ask for? And somehow we came up with $1 billion. And we laughed and said that'll never get approved, and Barry got it approved. So, he deserves, CMUA deserves a huge amount of credit for helping our customers out. I was up there, I was participating on a panel called Big and Bold, and it was a panel talking about what you've heard me talk about a lot, that the state is not providing the water that they need to provide to the rest of the state. So quite an active panel. We had community groups represented. We had environmental lawyers represented, myself representing the water side, and then Tim Quinn was representing an effort called CAP in the San Joaquin Valley, where they're trying to pull together all the different parties to figure out what to do with their challenges between ag and the environment and SGMA groundwater pumping issues. And so who knows, maybe that'll be a model for the state and how they work their way through some of these water problems. But really interesting panel. I had feedback for 2 days afterwards about what we said. The point was to kind of rattle the saber a little bit and get people to talk. So we'll see where that goes. Next item, I'm meeting with Colonel Hayes today from MARB, and we're going to talk about PFAS. We're going to be talking to him about all the money that we've received from our Michael and Melissa doing great work to get about $4.7 million to help solve the PFAS problem. So we want to make sure that the base is aware of that and find out what they're going to do to assist us. You've heard me talk about our Water Now, Big Water Now. Well, the steering committee got together and finally settled on a name. So the name that we settled on is Solve the Water Crisis. And that is because we were getting feedback from groups that had similar names to all the other two names.
Oh, my God.
So naming things is hard. And anything that was Water Now, the steering committee felt was very tied to a ballot initiative that didn't move forward. And so they didn't want people to think that we had lost that effort, so we're changing the name. But the name is getting we're getting a lot of traction. So I probably had 8 or 10 organizations at CMUA that said, where do I sign up? Heather Dyer is pulling together a meeting with all of the state contractors so I can make my pitch to all the state contractors up in Sacramento. So there's a lot going on, and I hope that continues to grow.
I know, I'm like.
I'm like STWC. I was like,
Everybody wrote down. Would look like, and it just doesn't look good, so, okay.
I heard the same thing on my panel because the gentleman who was talking about some of the Central Valley, it was kind of the water for people, and it was those small communities that are having so much trouble with their groundwater. And he says, yeah, this is so important because our movement, we had to change our name because our acronym was SAD.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
So,
Yeah.
it is a challenge. It is a challenge. And,
For
so
sure.
much is revolving around social media and how things are advertised. You have to put a lot of thought into it, so. All right, next item. I want to thank Anna Briones for another good presentation and let the board know that unfortunately Anna is leaving us. So Rod, maybe you want to give us a little more info.
Yes, so this is not the best news, really. For those of you who have been dealing with Anna over the years through the Finance Committee, through the board, anything to do with budget to actual, investments, bond financing, it's been Anna, has been the face of the district. Anna started with us about 12 years ago. She started as an accountant, rose up to senior accountant, then to supervising accountant, then on to accounting manager. And what you've seen at the board level, she's kind of like the internal face to the district on those issues. She deals with different departments. They all know her. And the same thing we see, the kind of the soft-spoken but dedicated professional, everybody in this district sees that as well. And beyond just being the internal face, she's also the external face for this district. So she deals with bond counsel, financial advisors, financial institutions, you name it. And she's got a lot of people she's having to notify about leaving, and now she's leaving for another opportunity. We don't like to see her go. Her professionalism, her dedication has really been unmatched, I think. But we're happy for her because what she wants to go to is something that she's been wanting to do for quite some time. So this is her last meeting. This is your chance to say goodbye to her. And I know the department is in the process of doing that. Her last day will be the end of next week with the district.
Wow.
So I'd just like to thank Anna. 12 years of phenomenal service to Western, and wish her well because I know this is something that she wants to relocate for her family. It's closer to her house, and all the best to her.
Wow. Well, I think you guys just don't accept her resignation, right?
Tried that.
We've tried that a couple times, and we found that doesn't work.
Jeez. Okay, well, comments from any of my colleagues?
I just want to say, what Rod said, it's been seamless to learn about Western's finances thanks to Anna, her professionalism, her experience and knowledge. So good luck in your future endeavor. She's not on our screen anymore, so I'm just looking at my computer, but good luck in your future endeavors. I hope that it is everything that you're wishing. If not, you have a family here at Western.
There's unfortunately not a whole lot to say. Congratulations, Anna, on getting something you want. It really is not good for us. I learned a huge amount from you. I kind of understand finance in general, but water finance is a little different. And you've been exceptionally helpful. And I know you'll do well where you're going, but I wish you wouldn't.
Right, absolutely. Anybody else?
I would echo my, same comments from my directors. We wish Anna well. We're sad that she's leaving. She's done a great job, coming on boarding and with helping us with financials and all that for Western has been a great help. So thank you, Anna, and good luck.
And I want to echo the sentiments as well. And I have to just thank you, Anna, for not only your great reporting, covering all these different items, but also your patience in answering questions from, especially from myself. I have just really appreciated that, and you will definitely be missed, but I do wish you well in your new endeavor.
Well, and for me, I remember when she started, so it goes back that far, and I'm glad I didn't scare her off in her first week, being at the first finance committee, because I know it was a lot when Al and I were asking lots of questions and making sure that everything was being vetted really well, and she just always was there with a smile on and ready and prepared to answer all of those questions, and was the constant professional. So, Rod, I would encourage you to find a way to not accept her resignation and try to figure out, maybe, I don't know.
I got about a week left.
Yeah, get creative about something. I don't know. So, but we certainly do appreciate her and wish her the very best in her future endeavors and wish her well in her journey as it continues on to what she wants to do and the best for her family.
Well, on behalf of the finance department too, we really appreciate these comments about one of ours from the board. So thank you very much.
All right. My final comment is a scheduling issue with the board. Wednesday, May 4th, we have a meeting, and that conflicts with Aqua. And I think we're going to have several members of the board that are going to go to Aqua, so I would recommend we cancel that board meeting. We've looked at rescheduling, and there isn't any time.
No.
Our calendars are terrible.
No.
There's nowhere to move that meeting, so I would suggest we just cancel it, and we'll stack up all the materials on the second meeting in May.
Yeah, I think there are 4 members that are going, correct? Yeah. I will be the only one not going. I have plans to watch my kid walk. So I will be in Flagstaff. So y'all can have a board meeting without us if you'd like. Come and meet in that day. Those of you that aren't going to Aqua, but the rest of us have plans. So I hope that my colleagues will go back up there, represent the agency, bring back some good reports of some good sessions and what's going on up there, and offer my sincere apologies, but sorry, you guys take a back seat. Sorry, but not sorry. You guys take a back seat. I got pressing things going on. So
All right,
I think,
so
I think that's,
everyone's good with just canceling the meeting?
I
Okay.
think that's a
Thank you.
concurrence. Okay.
That concludes my reports.
Okay. Thank you very much. Well, moving on to directors' reports and requests. We'll start with SAPA.
Thank you. SAPA met yesterday. The board itself didn't take any really significant actions. The PA 24 committee, which is the brine line committee, took a couple of significant actions. One is put out an RFP for cleaning of some segments of the brine line. Because of the nature of the material in the line, it tends to scale and needs to be cleaned periodically. That was the primary action. Received several reports which were informative and interesting, but kind of internal to the organization.
Okay, thank you very much. For the Met update, there is a report, a summary report in front of you. Unfortunately, it was a special board meeting that was scheduled, and it was all closed session, so I can't talk about any of it. So more to come when I get some kind of permission to discuss what's going on, and I think we have a couple of things that may be coming up in closed session for us to discuss some things going on up at Met when that all comes to.
Maybe I'll add that there is a lot of discussion that's not in closed session about rates. And so that is
Yes.
a battle that's going on at Metropolitan. Their proposed rate increase is 8% this year and 8% the following year. You may recall that when we set our rates, that we were using Met's
5 and 5.
forecasts, which were 5% and 5%. So there is a huge amount of pushback by the board members
Yes.
at Met that go back and rerun the numbers and come up with something else and bring it back, Met staff. So we'll see where that goes, but I just want to give a heads up to our board that, if something does land near 8 and 8, then we need to, Kevin and his team will need to go back and figure out what we're going to do, because our rates to our customers are all based on 5 and 5. So we'll have to figure out how to handle that. And we do have a pass-through provision in our rate adjustment. The board approved that, so we can just pass that through without having to go through the 218 process all over again. But we certainly hope they're going to move back to 5 and 5, and we don't have to worry about that. So we'll just wait and see. It's back in the Finance Committee on Monday for further discussion. It'll be discussed at the caucus meeting on Thursday, I'm sure, at great length. So there's a lot of movement, and a lot of agencies are weighing in and sending letters to Met, voicing their strong concerns about Met not following their forecasts.
Yes, and it's been a lively discussion, and it's been a lot of pushback, and the comments of sharpening the pencil have definitely come forward. I think that's been really pressed upon staff over at Met and challenged them to figure out a way to make this $95 million deficit that they have experienced with a loss of revenue, figure out how they're going to manage that. So there's some challenges for sure. I continue to talk with our finance team to look for and offer some assistance, or some of our perspective is where we come from. And we'll continue to have those discussions because, like Craig was saying, they gave us a forecast, and that's what we hold to. And that's what we push forward to our customers, and that's what our team banks on when we're calculating our rates out for our customers, to make sure that we have some stability and some predictability, and not go back and say, sorry, we got handed something different. So hopefully this will all work itself out, because I think they really got the message that the board was not pleased, and it would be awful shame if the budget didn't get passed. So, Mr. Gardner.
A question for you, Director, and Craig may want to weigh in as well. Have we advised any of our customers, wholesale or retail, of the status of this proceeding at Met, and advised them how they can tell Met what they think about a higher than forecast rate, which ultimately our ratepayers would pay and our wholesale clients, customers would pay? I think that might carry a little weight at Met, but it may also be a not good idea. So I'm looking for some guidance, but we might want to consider that if it would be a useful approach.
Yeah, we've certainly had dialogue with our member agencies about this. This has been something that's been on the forefront. It comes up in our committee meetings as well when we're meeting with our 2x2s. And we've certainly had a lot of discussions with our partner agency as well, with Eastern, to do this approach. So Craig goes to the managers meeting that they have once a month with all of the Met managers. Then that's a discussion, and he pushes all that out because he meets with all the managers from our member agencies about once a month on average.
Yeah, the managers meet once a month. They met last Friday. So there was a long conversation last Friday, mostly framed around Met defending the 8 and 8 to the agency managers, who quickly pushed back and said, nope, we're all tightening our belt, you tighten your belt too. We have been pushing it out to the managers, our wholesale managers, so they're all well aware. I don't think that it's appropriate to push it out to our customers because we don't know what it's going to be. We wouldn't know what to tell them. And they don't really have, there's not really a voice for them. I think, Director Denstad and the other Met board members are going to have the influence. And so that, I think it's going the right path right now. And we're getting a lot of letters from the different Met agencies really pushing back, which is something that you don't see very often, is a lot of Met agencies just pushing back at the board level. So a lot of work to do still. I think we're still a little bit early in the process.
Right.
So I don't know that our member agencies are going to have a lot of influence, not more than our board rep has.
Okay, thank you.
So,
Yeah.
just a real quick question. What is the timeline? When do they have to pass the budget, and how what is their timeline?
What, sorry?
The timeline to pass a budget. Well, I mean, they're
Well,
hoping
the rates go into effect January.
Okay.
So, but they'll want their budget approved by July.
right when
I
fiscal.
don't know all their rules, but they started early. They knew this was going to be a long discussion. There'll be a lot of workshops.
I mean, traditionally, they hope that it passes in April, right? They hope that it's going to pass on this cycle when we go in, because next week. I don't know that that's going to happen. Yeah.
So we will have enough time, if they pass 8 by 8, we will have enough time to provide information to our customers, retail customers as well.
Yeah,
as
we wouldn't see that until January.
Okay.
So we
All
would
right.
have plenty of time.
Plenty, okay.
And then we have to do
That's-
the math because, we have a rate increase that's going to be in effect in July.
Yes.
And then this one hit us till halfway through the year. So, yeah, like I said, we would just have to work with the finance team and figure out how we're going to handle it.
Right, but that's definitely not the approach I want to look at. So we're just going to push hard on moving the rates down
Absolutely.
and not voting
Absolutely.
for an 8% increase for the 2-year. So that's certainly not what my intention is moving forward, because, like I said, the forecast was 5, and that's what we all pushed out to our customers. And Mike, just to go on your comment of how do we reach out to our customers, well, as far as I'm concerned, and the way I look at it is, Metropolitan, we are their customers. We are. We then service our retail customers, and they come to us to voice what it is that we do. But Met needs to respond to us. We are their, those 26 member agencies are Met's customer base. They don't have anybody that they actually take any other money from other than the 26 of us, and they need to listen to us because we're the ones that are going to heal the brunt of it at the end of the day when we push it out to who we service. So that's really where the noise is coming from right now, and it's been interesting to listen to some comments of some delegations now, and I think that come the caucus meeting here tomorrow, I think there's going to be a lot of pushback from our caucus and how we're going to approach this.
Okay, no, I think I think you're exactly right. It is the Met Board's job to represent all of the customers, wholesale and retail, that are served by their individual agencies. But if staff is not responding well, a whole lot of customer voices can carry a fair amount of weight, even though they're not direct customers.
Well, yeah.
agree.
I think they did hear us, because I think when comments started to come out that it'd be awful if you put it forward for a vote and it didn't pass on the budget, I think that's a real strong indicator to Met staff that this is a problem, because the last thing you want to do, I'm sure finance staff will just, on our agency, the last thing they want to do is have a budget come forward time and time again that doesn't get approved, because then they're not putting out any money, because they can't put any expenditures out for anything. So it kind of shuts the whole agency down. So they got to figure out something here pretty quick on how they're going to balance this for what they forecasted for us.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
sure.
So I'm leaning toward what Mike is saying, and maybe this isn't the timing for the end-use ratepayer to be involved, but say, heaven forbid, this 8% does go forward, is there any kind of a protest period after that to where our ratepayers could be involved in sending in, I mean, this affects the end user. So I understand, I guess, the structure of Met, and they sell to the 26-member agencies, then we, are the next step. But I'm just thinking of myself as an individual, that if my water bill that I get every month, if I knew that that water was being mainly purchased by Metropolitan, I would feel very helpless in thinking that I had no say in a substantial increase like that, especially. That's just my, outside look, based on what I know or don't know. So.
Right. So,
You all know how I feel about reaching out to our customers, so I agree. I think it's the perfect time to engage them, even now. I think it would be, because when it's too late, we start blaming Met, and it's way too late. So however, it works out, but I tend to agree that this is a perfect time to engage them, so that when it happens, we're not just blaming Met and saying, sorry, our hands are tied. Right now, they're untied, and we have a chance to engage them.
President Den said, these are really good brief questions and answers from staff. Because it's not agendized, we probably should move on a little bit.
No, and I appreciate that, Counsel. So we'll keep you posted on what's going on, and we've, obviously I've gotten input, and the fight is on. So that's all there is to it. Fight's on, okay? All right, Chino Basin.
Chino Basin meets later this month. There is a court hearing on Friday. As you recall, there was a dispute over legal fees between the agricultural pool and the appropriative pool. The two pools have settled that agreement and filed paperwork with the court withdrawing their litigation and submitting the settlement, not for court approval, just for court recognition it exists. And one of the members of the appropriative pool has now filed something that says, no, we didn't either settle. The settlement votes were taken in closed session, so I don't know how they went precisely. But the pools themselves will say we have settled, but there's at least one member of the appropriative pool who says no. So they have filed paperwork with the court to say you can't accept this settlement. That will be discussed on Friday, and we'll see what happens.
Okay. Thank you very much. CDA.
Tomorrow.
Okay. RCRA?
Later this month.
Okay, thank you. WRCOG, well, WRCOG was very entertaining on Monday. They put closed session in front of everything else, so majority of the meeting, probably the first hour and 40 minutes, I think, almost 2 hours of the meeting, was all on closed session over existing litigation pursuant to everything that's going on with PACE and the HERO program, so that's ongoing. Everything else, there was a lot of TUMP stuff, which doesn't involve us, as far as agreements and things that were executed for reimbursements on, you know, the transportation side for the transportation uniform mitigation fees that are done. And everybody else remained very, very light on their reports, given the hour of how long the meeting was taking. So it just kind of moved forward. As a reminder, we do have General Assembly that's coming up. That is going to be an in-person. It's going to be at Pechanga. They do expect to have 800 at least in attendance. We are looking to provide the centerpieces with Eastern to talk about the drought and message out for that. So looking forward to seeing what staff comes up with on that wonderful idea. And, you know, more to come. So we'll just keep you posted. Okay, Sarah.
That's next week.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, any additional director's comments? I'll start to my left. Director Rizvi, any additional comments?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, Director Roughton? No. Okay. Director Gardner? No. Okay. Director Torres?
Just want to report back. I was able to attend the WELL conference in the Central Valley this last weekend, which is WELL is water education for Latino leaders. And I had the opportunity to talk to State Controller Betty Yee, as well as State Water Resources Control Board, their newest member, Laurel Firestone, about like the importance of workforce development and you know, bringing these types of programs to our industry. So it was a great conference, and overall, you know, the attendance there was from people from Central Valley, so it gave me the opportunity to represent the Inland Empire. So thank you all for that.
Okay, thank you very much. Just a couple of comments. Had an opportunity to go to a meeting with some of our agencies, along with the general manager and Director Gardner for the Bureau of Rec. We had a nice discussion and talked with representatives coming out from Colorado and from, you know, some of the leadership, and DC as well. That's right, DC as well, to impress upon them the importance of some of the projects that we have going on in the Inland Empire, what it means to the region, and talk about funding opportunities that are available, and try to get our hand out and our hat and see if we can get pots of money thrown into it. So thank you for Rancho California Water District for hosting that meeting, and everything that was good. I think it was a lively discussion with all of those agencies, and I think we really impressed upon them that we're a collaborative group and that we're really organizing to try to improve the Inland Empire's water systems and availability and drought tolerance here for our customers as a regional approach. So thank you for that. And then I also had the pleasure of being invited to speak, along with my colleague, Director Torres, to the Women's History Speakers Panel from WRCOG to talk about our experience as women leaders to a lot of the fellows and staff and people that were in attendance to that. So I wanted to personally thank Director Torres for her attendance and her perspective and where she's coming from listening to all the wonderful leaders and their very eclectic experience of how they got where they were today and what that meant to everybody, and to give some encouragement to our young rising professionals that are trying to figure out what their path is in life and how they're going to move forward as fellows and what they're going to do as their government life is concerned. So wonderful experience. And thank you to our staff, as always, for assisting in and providing use of this building, because it was a nice venue and everybody is always so appreciative of have the availability here for our building and our use. So thank you to staff for making that available and assisting that program. Okay, with that, we'll move on to future requests for future agenda items. Anybody have anything to put on a future agenda? Okay, hearing none. Information items can be reviewed at your leisure. We do have a closed session, and at this time, we also have scheduled a special board meeting that will be done at the same time because we do have a singular item on closed session. General Counsel, is it my understanding I can go ahead and call that to order? Do we need to go through the official roll call for that, or are you sufficient with what we've got going on now?
You don't need to do a roll call, although it would be appropriate to call the meeting to order and then ask if there's any public comment for the closed session item before we go into closed session.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll go ahead and do that. We'll call that meeting to order at this time for that singular item under that for closed session. Madam Secretary, is there anyone wishing to comment under public comments regarding our special agendized board meeting today?
President, instead, I see no request to speak, and I've received no written comments on that item nor the other closed session items.
Okay, thank you very much. I see Mr. Dithford has joined us in the audience for closed session. At this time, Legal Counsel, would you like to go ahead and make an announcement that we're going into closed session on those items?
Yes, we will be going into closed session on the 3 items, 2 on the regular meeting and 1 on the special meeting.
Okay. And we'll probably take a brief pause. I think everybody's here in person, right? 5 minutes to transition and do that? Yes? Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, we are out of closed session, back into regular session. We'll go ahead and call the meeting back to order. At this time, we'll go ahead and take roll call for the board, please, Madam Secretary.
Thank you. Director Roten?
Here.
Director Risby?
Here.
Director Gardner? Director Torres?
Here.
President Dinstead?
I am present, thank you.
Thank you. You have a quorum.
Thank you very much. This time, we'll go ahead and turn the meeting over to legal counsel to report out of closed session.
Yes, Madam President, members of the board, members of the public, the board met in closed session to discuss the 3 items that were on the agendas. The board voted 5-0 to reject the claim of Cora Constructors. That motion was made by Board Member Gardner, seconded by Board Member Torres, and again, that was a 5-0 vote. Direction was also given to initiate litigation, and more information will be available on that once service is effectuated.
Thank you very much. All right, anything pending on our agenda today? We've handled all matters? And that would conclude our special board meeting as well. Is that correct, legal counsel?
Correct, President.
Thank you very much. This time, we'll go ahead and call the meeting adjourned. Thank you very much for your attendance. We will see you at the end of April.